Hi everyone, it's Valor from Online Combat Battalion with another Arma 3 editing tutorial for you. This one's in response to quite a few requests for me to show people how to do unit capture. Essentially what unit capture is it records the track taken or the path taken by an aircraft or a vehicle that you have pre-recorded into a script. If you have AI crew in that vehicle that engage enemy targets, it will also record the firing of those units and play that back in your recording as well. So if you're still not 100% sure what I mean by that, then stick with me and I'll show you how to do that. So you need to decide on a vehicle or an aircraft that you want to use in your mission to record the flight path or driving path of. What you need to do firstly is give the unit that you want to use a variable name. So double click on whatever unit it is. And I've given this helicopter the variable name of Helo1, so Helo1. Okay. Now myself as the playable unit is the driver of the vehicle. So you've got to be the driver of the vehicle. If you've already placed a helicopter and they're both AI in there and neither is the playable unit, you go to this symbol here that you'll find on the vehicle or aircraft somewhere, and you'll have a steering wheel and a sight or a sight picture, a cross type crosshair. Double left click on the steering wheel, which it will be the driver of the vehicle, and ensure that player is ticked so that you are the player of the pilot or driver of the craft. Now to record we need a trigger. Now I've got a trigger here that I've prepared earlier. This doesn't need to be a sized trigger at all, it can just be a trigger with no size. And what you need to do is firstly set the activation type as radio alpha. Okay, so we're going to record this on a radio trigger. In the on activation section, here we have a line of code. So you'll see that it's got open bracket Helo1, comma, which is the variable name of the unit that I'm using. 600 is the length of the recording. That's in seconds. Now I've made it, you're not going to use 600 seconds, but just to ensure that you've got enough time, I've set that at 600 and you can do that as well. The next is 30 or 30. That is the frames per second that the recording is going to run at. Now you can have higher than 30, but just be careful because the higher this number is, the larger the file will be that you're going to be placing into your mission, the larger the SQF file. The next section is the word true, which means that any fire from the AI crew will be recorded. And 10 is just a bit of a recording margin of error that we just throw in there as well. The next is spawn space BIS underscore FNC underscore unit capture. So this trigger will tell the game to record Helo1 for 600 seconds, 30 FPS, record firing of any AI with a margin of error, and spawn the BIS function unit capture. Okay, so that will do that. Now before we proceed any further with this, we do actually need to save the mission. So we've got a mission folder because there's a couple of things we need to put into it. So just go up to scenario, down to save as, and I've called it unit capture tutorial, save, and there we've got our mission saved. Now we'll go into the mission folder and do a couple of things in there. Okay, in our mission folder, which will be in this PC, my documents, Arma 3, other profiles, your playing name, and I've just saved it into missions. You can see unit capture tutorial. We need to create an SQF file. So we're just going to right click, go to new text document, and we'll call this one flying. and take off the TXT and replace it with SQF. And just say yes when you press enter. So we're going to open that up, and there's some stuff we're going to put in here that I will add to a paste bin link for you, so you don't have to type it out. Although there is some stuff you're going to have to edit in this file, but it is not complicated, so bear with me. Okay, what I'll do is I will increase the size of this so you can see it quite easily on the video. A couple of things we need to explain here, and again, it's not complicated. So you'll see we have underscore and helo1, which is the variable name of the helicopter that we're going to use. Then we have move data equals space semicolon. Next line we have again helo1. Then we have pew data, which is where your firing data of your AI troops will be stored, equals space semicolon. So below that we also have a few other little bits and pieces. We have helo1, helo1, helo1. So anywhere in this where you see helo1 is where you need to use the variable name of whatever unit that you are using. So if your unit is called Eagle, then in all these spots here you would have the word Eagle, provided it has an underscore before it. Okay, so that's where you're going to have the variable names of your units, or your unit that you're going to use. So we need to save this, and we'll do that now. We'll just save. Okay, now that we've got this folder, and this is the template that will play all of the data stored from the units capture within the editor. Now let's go and capture that data in the editor, and I'll show you how to do that. So back in the editor we have our trigger, which has this information. Again, I'll throw this into a paste bin for you. Helo1, 600, 30, true, 10, close bracket, spawn BIS FNC unit capture, set to radio trigger alpha. So when I go into the game and activate radio trigger alpha, this will start recording whatever I do as the pilot of this aircraft. So let's do that now. Alright, so we're in the mission, and I want to start recording what I'm going to be doing in the aircraft. So we're going to activate radio trigger alpha, which is 0, 0 and press 1, or if you're using ACE and 0 is bound to something else, you can press backspace, go to reply, down to radio, and then select 1. Okay, so 0, 0, activate trigger alpha, and you'll see top right of the screen we have the words starting capture including weapon fire data, press escape to stop capture. So I know it's now capturing what I'm doing in the aircraft. I'm going to start the aircraft engine. We're going to take off and fly a low level slow track off to the front left of the aircraft, as there is an enemy formation on the other side of this hill, and my AI gunner in the front of the aircraft will engage those AI targets, and this will capture my flight track, and it will also capture the AI troop firing at the targets on the ground. So let's get moving. Lift off, nose forward. Now the targets are around an airfield, oh sorry, a oil field. There you go, my AI gunner has identified the targets, and he's now firing on them.
400 meters north. 300 meters bearing 030.
purposes of this, I don't need to really do much else. So we're going to come in and land, and then we're going to stop the recording and capture that information to put into our SQF script.
Hydraulic failure.
Okay, we landed a little hard, but that's alright. Okay, we're going to press escape, then we're going to press escape again, and you'll see some more information on the right hand side of the screen that says press F1 to copy movement data to the clipboard. So I'm going to press F1, and it'll say units movement data copied to clipboard. Now I am going to Alt Tab to my template for playing this information back that I showed you before. Now we're going to go to Helo1 move data equals, and just before the semicolon we're going to press Control V, and that is going to paste all of that movement data into that space. Now I'm going to go to View and go to Word Wrap. Now if you don't have a really beefy computer, this is the time where you would probably sit for about 30 seconds or go and grab a drink while your text editor is putting all of the data you need into this file. So depending on your CPU power, it could take a little while, it could freeze a little bit, so just leave it for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Okay, so as I scroll down you can see just how much movement data has been put in here. It's an awful lot. So what we need to do now is scroll all the way to the bottom where we can see now Helo1 Pew data, which should be on line 2 if you're using a text editor that has lines. So we're briefly going to go back to our editor. We're going to press escape again and escape again, and then we're going to press F2, and you'll get the message units weapon fire data copied to clipboard. We're going to go back to our SQF file, and where you see Helo1 Pew data equals space semicolon, we're going to click just in front of the semicolon and press Control V, and that is going to add the weapon fire data into this file. Okay, now we need to go up to File, Save As. We need to ensure that we save it into our folder for our mission, and I'm going to save this as flying1.sqf. Okay, that is now saved. So we'll go back to the editor, and my apologies for the brief black screen in between switching between them. So now we can go escape, return to Eden Editor, and all that is now saved. Okay, so now we need a trigger to actually play what we've just recorded. Again, we need to place a trigger by going to F3. Just select the first one, which doesn't have a size. Double left click. And I'm going to set the activation type as Radio Bravo. We have condition call this in brackets. And here there's a couple of little things that we need to put in. The first one is we need to put the variable name of the aircraft. So Helo1. Then we need to put engine on, true, semicolon. The reason we need to do that is the recording doesn't actually turn the engine on. Okay, so we need to have in this trigger a command to ensure that the engine is turned on. The playback of the recording will still work, but what you'll see is this chopper flying around with no engine on and no sound of any engine on, and it's a little bit weird. So in the trigger we need Helo1, or whatever your variable name is, engine on true. Next we need exec VM. You can use the open and close brackets in front, you don't need to. Exec VM, and in bracket, in inverted commas, remember we called it flying1.sqf, close inverted commas, and then finish with a semicolon, and that's bound to Radio Bravo. So what I'm going to do now is I don't need the pilot anymore to be the playable unit that you use. So I've put a dude up here, and I'm going to double left click and make him the player. So now this aircraft has a 100% AI crew, no human players present. So what will happen now is I'll kick off Radio Trigger Bravo, and you'll see that the aircraft will now fly the track that's been predetermined for it or recorded for it. Okay, so let's now activate Radio Bravo Trigger, which I've just activated. I'll jump into Zeus, and we can see because we've put Hilo 1 engine on true into that trigger, the engine is now turning on, the chopper's spooling up. It will shortly take off, and it will fly the track that I recorded when I recorded the unit or the movement of the aircraft in unit capture. Wow, that took a lot longer than I thought. So here we go. It's now, the aircraft's now flying the track. I'll jump out of Zeus. And this is the track I recorded when I was flying. And you'll hear the AI pilot or the AI gunner is now engaging those targets on the ground. So that was all recorded. There's no human players in there. In fact, you can actually remove the AI players and the aircraft will still do that. It'll now go off and crash land like I did before. Now, if you wanted to use something other than a radio trigger to activate the path or the recorded actions of a unit, you can do that. I'm just going to change the trigger of Radio Bravo to any player present. And of course, I need to change the size of that trigger because now it needs an area for a player to be in. And I'll just set that there. I'll set myself here, and I'll know that because of the size of that trigger, as soon as I start to run towards that aircraft, the trigger this trigger will be activated and the recording will start. So you can place a trigger anywhere in your mission and have this aircraft anywhere else, and get them to fly in and engage those enemies for you, without having to have human players man that aircraft. I'll just quickly show you how that works. Okay, so the aircraft's doing nothing. I run into the trigger, and there we go. The trigger will start. The aircraft will eventually take off and fly up over the hill and start engaging those targets. And there we go. Once again, he's off. And he's going to fly over the hill, and he's going to give these guys over here a really bad day. Now you can do the exact same thing with a vehicle. So if you were to select, let's see, a Bradley, and you've got an AI crew, and you make yourself the driver. After you've given this a variable name of whatever you like, give the yourself the driver's spot as the player, drive over to those enemy. Your AI crew will engage them with the weapon systems on the vehicle, and all that will be recorded, and you can play that back on a trigger just exactly the same way as I've done with the aircraft. So that is how you do unit capture. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. If it was a bit confusing, please let me know. I'll clarify for you. If I went too fast, let me know and I'll help you out. You can visit our, you can ask the questions or make comment in the comment section below. You can visit our Discord and ask questions there. Please give us a thumbs up, a sub if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope this has really helped someone.